For 3.03, let's look at some common food prep equipment that you'll find in restaurant kitchens. So first, you would find a countertop blender. These blenders puree, liquefy, and blend food. The blender consists of a base that houses the motor and a removable lidded jar with a propeller-like blade in the bottom. Speed settings for the motor are in the base, and jars for the blender are made of stainless steel, plastic, or glass. Next, we have a food chopper. This chops vegetables, meat, and other food using a vertical rotating blade and a bowl that rotates the food under the blade. This unit is often called a buffalo chopper. Never push food under the cover of the bowl because your fingers could get caught by the moving blades. To clean the food chopper, first unplug the unit, remove the blades carefully, and handle with the same care given a knife. And that goes for any electronic equipment that has a blade or any moving parts. You always need to unplug before you clean it. Then we have a food processor. This is a processing machine that houses the motor separately from the bowl, blades, and lid. Food processors grind, puree, blend, crush, and knead foods. Immersion blender is also known as a hand blender, stick blender, or burr mixer. It's a long, stick-like machine that houses a motor on one end of the machine with a blade on the other end. This operates in the same manner as a countertop blender to puree and blend food, except that a cook holds it manually in the container of food, whereas a countertop blender contains the food itself. This is a mandolin. It's a manually operated slicer made of stainless steel with adjustable slicing blades to slice and julienne. Its narrow rectangular body sits on the work counter at a 45-degree angle. It is useful for slicing small quantities of fruit and vegetables in situations where a large electric slicer is not necessary. Next is the meat grinder. This is a freestanding machine or an attachment for a stand mixer. Drop food in through a feed tube where it is pulled along by a metal worm and then cut by blades as the food is forced out through the grinder plate. To avoid cross-contamination, clean all areas of the meat grinder thoroughly after use. Don't forget to unplug it first. Then we have the meat slicer. Most meat slicers have a slanted circular blade. Food either passes through the machine automatically or a cook pushes a hopper that holds the product along a carriage into the blade. The thickness of the slices is set by increasing and decreasing the distance between the guide plate and the blade. The guard on the hopper must always be used to move the hopper. This protects the hands. During cleaning, the machine must be unplugged and the blade set at 0, no distance between the guide plate and the blade. Remember that the blade is a knife and can cut even when it's not turning. Because slicer blades are very sharp, it's important to pay close attention when using them. And our last tool is the mixer. So mixers come in 5-quart, 20-quart, 60-quart, and 80-quart sizes. Cooks use them to mix and process large amounts of food with any number of specialized attachments. Here are a few of the most common mixer attachments. So on top we have the flat beater paddle. It's used to mix, mash, and cream soft foods. Underneath that you'll see the wire whip. It's used to beat and add air to light foods like egg whites and cake frosting. Then not pictured is the wing whip, and it's just a heavier version of the wire whip. It's used to whip, cream, and mash heavier foods. And then that picture on the bottom is a dough arm or dough hook, and it's used to mix very heavy, thick dough.